Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. As you know, we're doing the middle game video series, so I decided to go over the bishops. Um, I decided to put the pieces videos in the middle game lessons because I think this is the most appropriate way of showing how pieces work. So the first rule that apply to all positions with bishops is that bishops really want these open diagonals where they can attack pieces or just get more territory, help your pieces also with an attack or whatever. They're just active on these open diagonals um, because I showed this silly example here. Because I made this up because I wanted to show you which are the good bishops and which are the bad bishops. So it's really obvious in this position which bishops are good and which bishops are bad. You can clearly see that these two white bishops are very bad because they're not doing anything. This bishop can't even move. This is an impossible position, but I just use this example to show you. So this bishop is doing absolutely nothing, it's just defending this one pawn and that's all. This bishop is just like a pawn and this one also. It just covers one or two squares and that's all. And if you look the black's bishops, they're very active, um, they can go wherever they want and these bishops can't because they're blocked by the pawn chains. Um, This is a very bad thing to do. You don't want to block your bishops with your pawn chains. Um, you want to let them have these open diagonals which they really want. So in this position it's really easy to win this game because you can also play around and white can't even do anything um, because he can just move his king to take your pawns, but you have your own bishops to stop this. So if it's black to move, you can just play bishop here. Your plan is just to go with your king there and just take all these pawns with the help of your bishops or even not. So if he goes there, then you can just check him. You can see that he has absolutely no chance, and you'll just take all these pawns and push these pawns and just queen and win the game. So this was the first example which showed you why bishops need open diagonals. So here's the second example, and I want you to pause the video and try to evaluate the activity of all bishops in this position. Think about all the bishops. You may say that these two bishops are really bad because they're blocked by the pawn chain and by this knight. They're not doing that much. This bishop is just defending this pawn. Um, but actually, if you think about this position, if you move this knight anywhere, then this bishop can become pretty active, and that's a lot of times it's like that. That a bishop seems really passive, but if you make a few simple moves, then it can become pretty active. So, and this bishop looks like it's really bad, but you can see that if you can play d5, this bishop will become pretty good, right? It will control more squares that he wants to control, and so in this position you really want to achieve playing d5 to open your bishop and moving this knight to open your other bishop. So what about the white's bishop? Mm, you can see that both white bishops are mm, pretty good. Um, White bishop controls this. Oh, sorry. This white bishop controls the a2 g8 diagonal and also this diagonal, and this bishop controls this diagonal. So this is really a lot of squares that your bishops control. So this is very good because you can use it for support, for an attack, or just jumping with your pieces somewhere, and also restricting your opponent's possibilities of placing, I don't know, his pieces somewhere, because of these bishops. Um, it's impossible to place these pieces on a good square because they're attacking it, for example. Um, so this was another example. So let me just show you what happened here. Uh, so we just said that these four bishops are not even that bad. These two bishops are going to get better, and these two bishops are already better. But I will show you how things can quickly turn around after c5 here, which is a very poor move because you can see you're blocking your bishop, black bishop, even more, and now this bishop is it's going to be pretty bad probably for the rest of the game. Because I mean, what is he doing here? He's just not doing anything. It's just a very bad piece. So what happened here was also very bad. D5, just blocking your own bishop. Again, this bishop now doesn't attack this f7 square, and it's just blocked by its own pawn chain. That's one of the worst things that you can do with your bishops. I mean, your bishops will just sit there and cry. I mean, just look at this. Your bishop doesn't have open diagonals that we talked about, and this was just a bad move. White should play here, for example, this. When he takes, then you can play, let's say, this, and your bishop is still open, and his bishop is closed, and this is what you want to do. You want to block your opponent's bishop and um, make your bishop an active bishop. In this position, you can jump here with your knight. I mean, not right now, but this is a great outpost, um, and I will talk about knights in the next video, but just to show you. Okay, so I showed you which is an active bishop in the previous two examples. This is a bishop which has open diagonals, um, but this is a lot of times not enough because your bishop can have open diagonals and can be a pretty good bishop, but um, it also has to be an useful bishop, because if it has open diagonals and does nothing, then it's really not that great. So in this example I will show you um, how the player with the white pieces improved his dark squared bishop and just gave him the purpose of, I mean, being here on the board. Now in this position, um, I want you to also pause the video and try to think about which of these two bishops is better in this position. So it's actually the dark squared bishop, and that's because it's a simpler reason for that. Um, because you have these pawns here on the light squares, which means that your bishop is not going to be that active on these squares, right? And your black squared bishop, on the other hand, these pawns are not annoying for him, but are annoying for this bishop because they're, in a way, they're just annoying for him because he can't get these open diagonals. So that's why the dark squared bishop here is better. But anyway, I wanted to show you how this player um, got a useful bishop here in this position. So he actually played bishop to c1. Um, his plan was just to. He thought that this bishop here wasn't very useful, so he wanted to maneuver it to some better square. Mm, so here black played e5. Um, the white queen retreated. He castled, and now you can see the purpose of the move bishop to c1. He played it to a3. Um, so the rook had to move because it was attacked. Um, and now he played bishop to d6. Now you can see how white player made an useful bishop. First he had an active bishop, and now he has a useful bishop because it's actually doing something great in his position. It's improving white's position and just also preventing black from getting a good white bishop, uh, a good light squared bishop, because black would like to play moves such as d5 and just open his bishop. This bishop here is just saying, I don't want this to happen, so that's why I'm here, and I am just annoying in your territory. I'm really a beast. So this was a very good example of how to make a useful bishop out of the active bishop. So let's look at our next example, mm, which is from one of the students actually of Jeremy Silman. Um, in in this position, he had white pieces, and you can see this bishop, light square bishop here, is not very happy. It can't move anywhere here. It's just blocked, and it's just a bad piece. Um, you can clearly see why. And so he decided to open his bishop. I mean, how to open this bishop? Um, F3 move is pretty bad because if you take then with a bishop, then you lose a pawn, and it looks like there's not a real way of doing that. But he figured that he can sacrifice a pawn to get an active bishop. That's a lot of times the idea in the position, which you have to consider. Here black took the pawn, which was very bad. Um, because you can see there the rooks are very active on this open file, which I'll talk about in another video about rooks. But um, so you can see rooks penetrated on the 7th rank, and now the bishop. You can see this bishop now. It's very useful because it's creating big problems here on to the black king and black pieces. So um, here he played rook to b8, and this student just played rook to f6, queen to f6, which is very good. I mean, it's the best move in the position. It's granting more threats, and he played this, and now he resigned. Um, so let me show you why this position is so bad for black. I mean, you can see this. His black pieces are all passive here, just defending everything, and white pieces are attacking. That's why white is very better. It's just winning in this position. Um, so let me just show you what happens if black plays just something stupid. Let's say this. Then white just wins by playing rook to d8. So he needs to take, you take, um, and the point is that you want to remove the defender of this queen. So you do that by taking here, and the only move is to take the bishop with the rook, and now take the queen, and this is just a winning position. You have a queen versus a rook, Um, and yeah, this is just over. So that was a good example of sacrificing a pawn to get an active bishop. So in this last example today, guys, I will show you the power of the bishops um, when they communicate with other pieces, like the queen here. Um, so, and they're very powerful. So you can see here we have a battery. A battery is when a bishop and a queen connect, and they can attack different. I mean, attack the king, and it's very powerful, as you will see. So, um, in this position, um, white absolutely has to play bishop to e3 just to stop advancing this pawn, because um, if white isn't careful and he just plays something like a3, I mean a dubious move, then black can play just e3, and you can see this diagonal is now open. You can see the power of this bishop and this queen being connected. Um, and you also attack this bishop, so he can take the bishop because it will be checkmate. So he has to play f3 just to stop this checkmating attack here, and then you just take the bishop and you're just winning. Um, you have a queen for two rooks, which is a fair trade, and you have one bishop more, which is just winning. So um, white has to be really careful with these batteries, so he played bishop to e3. Um, but now black played queen to f6. He activated his uh, knight, or no, he played f3. Um, and now he moved his dark squared bishop to d6. Um, and you will see why. Um, because now after knight to d2, he played this move, queen to e5. You can see again the battery, the bishop and the queen working together, trying to give checkmate here or just cause problems. And you'll see oftentimes this will make your opponent um, weaken his position with moves like g3, because this um, would be the only way to defend this battery checkmating threat. And this is very good for you because you can use these weak squares that he created um, for your other bishop, or just to attack in a different way. Um, so I'm not going to show you the rest of the game, but I just wanted to show you the power of the battery here. Okay, so let's see what I really want you to remember from this video. First of all, bishops won't open diagonals. To help your team attack, um, get more territory, mm, just to be annoying to your opponent and cause him problems. Then, secondly, don't block your bishops with your pawns, because if you block your bishops with your pawn chains, then your bishops are not going to have these open diagonals and are going to be bad bishops. So, thirdly, you want to have active and useful bishops. So if you have an active bishop, try also to make it useful so it can help you get a better position with more active and useful pieces, right? Then we have, you can sometimes sacrifice a pawn to get a more active bishop. Like I showed you in an example, this is a really good way of just getting an active position and trying to get the advantage. And lastly, bishops work well with other pieces. Um, I showed you an example with how bishops work with a queen, with the battery, but they also work very good with knights, rooks, just all the pieces, and they're just really good team workers. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you like my videos, please subscribe, like and share, and I will see you in the next video.